Good morning, everybody. What is going on? Damn, Blake, I just realized I don't think I sent you a show title. Did you just wing it? just like Texas football topics. I just realized I was about to like retweet us. And then I realized like I don't even think I told this guy what the show topics are about. Because it's going to be a lot of a potpourri of stuff. So let me go ahead and retweet this as I see myself looking down. Good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. Hump day it is. January 24th. Good to see everybody here. Everybody filing in the chat and stuff. I hope everyone's having a good morning so far. Welcome back to the Old Fashioned Show. You know who I am, your host, your favorite Unc, Onward Richardson. Good to see everybody as you guys are piling in here. Wednesday as we're getting here through the end of the month. Fellas, you know what that means? You know what that means, fellas? Better save your money. Valentine's Day is around the corner. They're about to hit your pockets, baby. Cheesecake Factory don't take no reservations. How many fellas are planning to go to the Cheesecake Factory just as a show of solidarity? This is a show of solidarity. We're going to the Cheesecake Factory, mama. But hey, fellas, I'm just letting you know that thing's around the corner. If she tells you she don't want some flowers, she's lying. She's lying to you. Hey, fellas, by the way, if you're going to send some flowers, don't send it on the 14th. You better they have that thing sent on the 13th because sometimes those flower deliveries get backed up. And if they don't get there on that day, you're going to be salty. So at least give yourself like a 1 to 2 day cushion. Just trying to help you out if you go that route. But nonetheless, hello to everybody. I hope everyone's doing good. Glad everyone's in here in the chat as well. Blake's behind the scenes producing. Let me say what's up to everybody, my early risers who have gotten in here. Robert, is that day number 2, Robert, that you have been number 1? I see you've figured out the formula and you're working it to your advantage. Good morning to you, Robert. Tell Whitney I said hello. Gotta have luck and skill to be number 1. You have done this twice, so once is lucky, twice is a habit. Jared Neal, good morning to you. You'll watch later. All right, Jared, glad you checked in. Chris Bennett, the original OG of the super fans, is in here. We'll talk a little bit about your subject in a second. Chris Nelson, my dude, is in here as well. Doug G, what up? Doug G, good morning to you. Text guy too. Where's Just a Dude? Where's Just a Dude? I haven't seen Just a Dude. I don't think Just a Dude was in here Tuesday or so with his sayings. Where's Just a Dude? Text guy too. I don't recognize know all you guys. Text guy 2 is in here. Zio_V is in here. Money B, we in this building. Big Tex. Haven't seen you this week, but good morning to you, Big Tex. BK817, my favorite Atlanta to Texas transplant, is back here. Mark is in the house working on payroll, taxes, and listening to Going to be a good day. Woo! You must be down in the HR thing or an accountant there, whatever your company is that you work for or own. Don't want to limit you right there. Payroll and taxes. Yeah, you guys got a deadline to get those tax things out. So good luck to you, Mark, with that. The Uncle Mickey is in the house. Oh, Canada, the home and native land. I see you. Deborah is in this thing. Good morning to you, Deborah. How are you doing? DC, my main man, Dale Coleman is in the house. I see what's happening. It's kicking all of us early birds up too far, and Unc ain't seeing us. I see you, DC. I don't know what's going on. I can see you on my end. I don't know about what's going on your end, but on my thing right here, I can see all of you. So don't worry about that. Kai is in here. You made it in time for once. Good morning. Hey, man. You made it in time because I was running on CP time. Good morning. Just another fragrance reviewer is in here. Yeah, I think it was a little Givenchy this morning. Just another fragrance reviewer. I think that's what I use. I'll let you know in the break though. I'm looking good, and I'm feeling good, smelling good. Rodolfo, let Arch cook. Stop that. Stop it. It's too early in the year for us to have an Arch Manning conversation. We're not going to do that, Rodolfo. Let's let Jordan Whittington get into the NFL. I hope he goes to your favorite NFL team too, by the way. Anthony Audrey de Puente, good morning to you. Kevin H is in the house. Well, you're right about that. Definitely the title, the sick and cold and rainy weather, but it definitely beats the cold. But that will beat that 20s that we had going on, especially over the weekend. That was ridiculous. So at least it's a little bit better today. Logan, good freaking morning, Unc. Shout out from a fellow Cedar Park native. Oh, okay. In your opinion, will Sark end up being a more remembered coach than Mac was? A lot to prove, but something to ponder. First of all, shout out to you out there, my favorite fellow Cedar Park person. I live right there off of Anderson Mill, right by the high school. So you know exactly where I am at. And that's a good question. Mac's a legend. Max won a title. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to be a thing. I think Mac will always have his legacy carved out. I think a good question to you, Logan, will be, does he win more natties than Mac? You know, how much more success does he have? I think that's the good question that, we need to solve in one day. And look, if he does, more power to all of us, right? We get to ride that train all the way down to Natty Land. So, it should be a really interesting ride. But I think Mac's legacy is safe. I don't know if people will remember one more than another. But look, the older you get, I mean, people, they know who you are. But look, don't forget, Mac Brown's still coaching. So he's still relevant. Mac still got some juice. Brian Alfaro is in here. Rodolfo, Yellow Rose, the move. Oh Lord, Rodolfo, are you serious right now? Rodolfo, can we just get you? Brother, can we just get you swiping? Can I just get you to swipe on something? You don't need to be out there at no club like that, wasting all your money, hard-earned money. Swipe. Just swipe. Get that way. Forget about the Yellow Rose. Forget all that. Unless Yellow Rose, you want to be a sponsor, in which case, we will definitely encourage all that. But if not, save your money. Don't be giving it to them strippers. RT is in the house. What up, Honor? It's been a minute. It has been, Mr. Aquatix. I totally said that wrong. Totally butchered it. Made my Polk County come out of me. Blake May is in here. It's always funny because then people talking to Blake in the chats, but then it's always a confusion if they're talking about Blake the producer or Blake May in the chat. So it's always kind of a hilarious, double worlds that are going on in here. BK817 said the HEB flowers section will be packed the afternoon of 2/14. Ain't you, boy, you are not lying. Fellas, just get ahead of time, man. Do something creative too. Some flowers, and then don't just do flowers and dinner. That's so cliche. Do something more creative, Do like a storybook, like all the pictures and places that y'all been, and put that in like a book form that you can do. Like these got websites that can do that. Do those kind of things and make it like a little bit more romantic. Go on Etsy and find something that's quaint, like there's something different that's unique. Get something engraved, for name on it, your name and her name on it, like something like that. Don't just go dinner and flowers. Just think outside the box, fellas. Things like that. ATX Big Rich, let Ung help you out. ATX Big Rich, my big homie, is in the house as well. Nate is back. Good morning to you. Just the dude. Just asking about you, just the dude. Good morning to you. Brandon is in here. South End Zone Queen, the person who loves, good. I already blocked her name out. She loves all that Kansas City frat boy stuff that's going on over there. She likes all that Jason Kelsey, Taylor Swift, like South End Zone Queen loves all that. She's just so down for all that. She's like, oh my God, everybody, can you believe Taylor Swift was swag surfing? That's so amazing. Like, cool. People stopped doing it 10 years ago, but congratulations that she picked it up. Yes. I can't stand you, South End Zone Queen. Darwin is in the house. Just a dude. Okay, here we go. Just a dude. Here we go. I'm laughing, so I'm going to try to be as good as I can. Okay, you can be the sweetest peach on the tree, but some people just don't like peaches. You can be the sweetest peach on the tree, but some people just don't like peaches. In other words, go where you celebrate it and not where you tolerate it. Texas fan in Soonerland, good morning to you. Catherine, it's always good to see you as well. Jackie is in the house. He said hello to everybody. Logan is in the house. You live by the high school too? Okay, so we've all ran into each other. Mark Anderson, Rodolfo's Macajay was going to go to the league. Working Man is in here. Miguel Angel Diaz. Buenos dias, mi tío. Going to hibernate until Longhorn season starts. Don't you do that. Don't you dare do that, Miguel. We got shows that we got to do every single day. You better not hibernate. I need your blankety blank here or at 9 o'clock in the morning. Don't you hibernate. There's some of y'all out there hibernating. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm out here talking to myself. I ain't got other things that I could be doing. Come on, man. Don't hibernate on me. Stay with your unk. I need you. JD is in here as well. Unk was on his Lamar porch yesterday. Y'all, you know what? You got jokes, Money B. You don't know. First of all, ain't nothing wrong with those kind of things. Sandman 23 is in here. South End Zone Screen. Haters are gonna hate. You just want to be a part of that little party over there. Taylor, you're a Swiftie. That's what it is. You're a Swiftie, and I offended you. But you and Taylor and Kelsey, I hope y'all all lose. Give me Baltimore. I'm not watching the Super Bowl if I got to deal with that. Just letting you know. Who else is in here? I think I covered everything. UT Parking has been a hot minute as well. And Working Man, peach wine. I've never had peach wine, but that does sound pretty good. You know what else sounds pretty good? Buying a home in the DFW area. Because if you're looking to buy a house, looking to sell a house, it's January. Is that about that time to cross on over? Hey, spring break is right around the corner. A lot of activity is going to pick up. Inventory is going to be there. Whatever you're looking to do. Eric Sells Homes, my main man, El Presidente, has got you covered. Look for a home in the DFW area. You ain't got to look any further. He's got you. Look at the buy, look at the sell. He said he won't even take a commission. Okay, I just added that in there. That's totally not true. Okay, but he will make sure that you get the best prices on your home, whichever you're looking to do. So if you are looking for a home in the DFW area, BK817. BK817, you got people out there, BK817, that might be looking for a house. So you go ahead and help them out. Hook them up, BK817. Eric Sells Homes, DFW, the man with the master plan who's got you covered. See, the truth is coming out. Look, see, you know, there's a saying. This is the South End Zone Queen. It's called "Thou protesteth too much." When you ask your kid something, right? And you ask your kid, like, hey, what you doing? And they respond back with, I didn't eat the cookies. They're like, why didn't I say nothing about cookies? And then when somebody starts defending something a little bit too much, too vigorously, you got to know that you've hit a soft spot. You hit a nerve. When you just bring up something randomly and they're going to the mat over that thing, like, yeah, I don't understand. Like, people who've been divorced like 8 times, like, how crazy are they? Well, you know what? They may try to find a true love. Why being so judgmental? Like, oh, snap. How many times you been divorced? Like, that's what South End Zone Queen is, because she just revealed it. She revealed that she went to a Swift concert. She got floor seats about 5 years ago. I'm not a normal fan. You get floor seats for a concert, you are a super fan. South End Zone Queen's a Swiftie, and that's why she don't like when I talk about her and all her frat boys that I can't stand. Hope they lose. I am not watching Jason Kelsey. Hey, you know what you're happy about? This is what you're going to be happy about, though. We can all agree on this. You were happy last night to watch your Texas Longhorns go into Norman, Oklahoma, and beat down them Sooners, huh? Just smacking them around, smack. I mean, smacking them around, doing what they need to actually do to come out with the win. All of a sudden, since Rodney Terry wanted to complain about horns down, and everybody said, why don't you just focus in on your team and not losing games like that? All of a sudden, Texas, 2 straight wins over a ranked opponent. 2 straight wins over a ranked opponent. Texas goes, of course, over the weekend, they beat Baylor on this past Saturday, and then they come back and they pull out the win against Oklahoma. Now, here's what was great about that win. Here's what was absolutely great about that win. How about 8 for 18 from 3-point land? Oh, that's that. Now that'll help you win just about the majority of your ball games. And this is what you need to pack on the road. You know, you always say you got to pack defense. Defense travels. Well, I tell you what, going 15 of 18 from free throws, 83.3%. Oh, that'll travel too. And so Texas is able to pull off a 75-60 win, road win against Oklahoma. I'm imagining that's by the way, Texas, you got to appreciate the pettiness of Texas, by the way. By the way, they also pointed out that they earned their 6th straight victory over the Sooners and won for the 5th consecutive time in Norman. Just for some pettiness. Just if you just want a little pettiness in your life, and I like petty. I wake up and take a bath in it, right? Just so you want to know, that's what Texas was able to do. For some good victory, obviously, last night for your Texas Longhorns. And hopefully they keep the magic going with that. Amos scores you got 8 for 14 from the field goals, 4 of 8 from 3-point land. So very good performance, obviously, from them. Of course, Dylan Nassau had a double-double, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Texas is 14-5. So there you go. Not only to you, Rodolfo, but Chris Bennett, who you wanted to make sure you took your jab at Oklahoma. Congratulations to you. Couple of things. Let's just go through a couple little things here. And then one quick thing. We'll do a quick break, and then I got a lot of other topics that I want to make sure I get into. No huge surprise yesterday, but kind of the news that comes out from Rivals.com that says 5-star wide receiver Ryan Williams will no longer be visiting Texas this weekend. Not the biggest is not a word. Not the biggest surprise. Hugest, just so you know, kids, if you're on your way to school and you're listening to this, hugest is not a word. You will fail your test today if you use the word hugest in the sentence. Use biggest. Not the biggest surprise in the world, obviously. Looks like this thing's going to come down to Alabama and Auburn. One thing that Jason pointed out in his write-up yesterday, and I said, okay, I'm gonna let this one go. We're not going to overreact to this one. I'm not going to overreact to this one. I want to take a little mental note. But he did say this. This is the last question. This is the last portion of his story. He goes, the question now is whether or not Texas QB commitment KJ Lacey will still visit Texas this weekend. Because I've got a message out to Lacey, but haven't heard back yet. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he came in. There really doesn't seem much reason to come in without Williams being in town. A visit later in the spring for a practice seems more logical. Okay. All right, Jason. I'll hold you to it. Jason. Not going to panic. Not going to overreact. They never said they were a package deal. So we're good on that one. Not a problem. But mental note has been taken. Mental note has absolutely been taken. And we'll see what happens with there. But no big deal. Like everyone says, like the wide receiver room here is packed. It's full. I mean, it's going to be hard for the incumbents to get on the field, let alone Ryan Williams. They got a lot of stars here, so it probably benefits him to go to a place where he can come in and probably be the man from day one. He comes in here, he's a guy, really good guy, but he's just a guy from day one. So go where you got a chance to play right away. So Ryan Williams is not coming. Texas will obviously survive because they've got a boatload of receivers Pick one. Anyone that can catch the ball. So it's all good. Speaking of the state of Oklahoma. Speaking of the state of Oklahoma, I know we talked about I said speaking of, I know we talked about Alabama, we talked about Oklahoma. I want to do something that I think just needs to be done. Okay? Because there were 4 losers. Let's and losers might be a really nice word. I might be using a really nice word. There's probably better words to use, but it's kind of a morning show. So and I try not to. I try to pace myself on my cuss words. I'll do my cuss words in the afternoon. But 4 losers were arrested for that stupid ass fraternity, whatever you want to call it, before that Texas Oklahoma State game that occurred. Blake, go ahead and show that. I want to make sure that we highlight these losers. I want to make sure that we see the faces of these losers. You want to know why I don't like fraternities? Well, I like fraternities, okay. It's just the idiots of fraternities that make it hard. But look, 4 arrests have been made. And I'm going to make sure we highlight the names of the people who basically killed that Longhorn and put it in front of a fraternity the morning of December the 1st, the day before the Big 12 championship game between Oklahoma State and the University of Texas. Those 4 men were all members of the Alpha Gamma Rho at Oklahoma State, a rival fraternity. Names: Luke Ackerley, Bennett Fady, Adrian King, Brody Shelby. Memorize their faces. Yes. They can get cleaned up, put on their little sport coats if they want to. But nonetheless, I want to make sure we get all their faces out there for what they've done. They have been charged with a misdemeanor for an unlawful disposal of a carcass. Probably won't get much that happens to them, but nonetheless, I want to make sure we show those losers that are out there. So just so we're clear on who they are. You're not going to go unscathed for being bad human beings. That's all I got to say on that. Let's do this, Blake. Do a quick break, and then we come back. We'll talk a little bit of rock, right? We'll talk a little bit more Q&Ers. I got so interrupted with my Q&Ers conversation yesterday. Like I started to get into it, and then the breaking news happened, and I never got a chance to finish it. So we'll get into that. So let's do a quick break. Then we'll come back and do some specs, and then we'll talk about everything else that's going on the 40 acres.
This Orange Bloods recruiting flashback focuses on one of the biggest UT football stars of the last decade. Bijan Robinson was a 5-star prospect by Rivals when he signed with the Longhorns, finishing as the nation's number 18 overall prospect, the second best prospect in the state of Arizona, and the number 1 running back in the country, according to Rivals.com. Upon retrospect, it's kind of amazing that former running backs coach Stan Drayton was able to land Robinson when you consider that Ohio State was perceived as a massive leader for much of his recruitment. In fact, on the day he committed, Rivals.com recruiting analyst Adam Gorney told Orange Bloods, quote, "Even after the Atlanta 5-star challenge, it almost felt like Ohio State was the foregone winner," Gorney said that day. But as it got closer, I think the realization that he would basically be going across the country to play football kind of set in. He really, really liked Texas and USC a lot, had connections to both schools, liked the staffs, and how they would use him, and wound up finding a school closer to home that he was very happy with. It wasn't until Robinson visited Texas on an unofficial visit for the spring game in April that Texas began to make it surge. By the time June rolled around, a couple of months later, the Longhorns had emerged as a team to beat in his recruitment. Robinson was a part of a 2020 recruiting class that finished 14th in the nation that year in the Rivals.com rankings, and what turned out to be the final full recruiting class for Tom Herman. A few years later, and there's not a ton of meat on the bone with respects to the elite prospects from that year outside of Robinson. Jake Majors and Jaron Thompson remain as a few of the higher ranked players in that class, but it's actually two of the lower ranked prospects in the class, Jahdae Barron and Jalen Ford, that have made the biggest impact as the class begins to wrap up its contribution to the Texas football program.
All right. By the way, speaking of contributions, it's time for you to go out there and contribute to Specs. Contribute to yourself. If you're looking for the best beer, wine, spirits, Specs has got you covered. They also deliver. They got some snacks that are out there. Oh, what did I tell you guys, fellas? Valentine's Day. How about a nice little bottle of rosé? Ooh-wee. Chill that thing. Get some nice little wine glasses. Do something. Relax at the house. I've got you covered. Nice little bottle of champagne. Ooh, I got you. So go out to Specs. See what the best deals that are out there. Blake, let them know what Specs has got in store for them.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Cheers to you and cheers to Bevo. Cheers to Bevo, guys. Today is Bevo's birthday. I don't know, do you guys sing happy birthday? What do you give Bevo for as a birthday present? I don't not quite sure, but Bevo celebrating the 9th birthday. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful there. Oh, just a good looking good. Happy birthday to Bevo. I've always been fascinated how they train Bevo to not overreact to crowds and cannons. I freak out when the cannons go. I even know it's coming, and I still always flinch. Bevo never flinches. So happy 9th birthday to Bevo. Bevo 15. Yeah. What do you give? It's you give those you guys have pets, right? You guys have dogs. I don't have any animals, but I'm very familiar with it. You guys can go to the pet store and you can get them the stuff that kind of has peanut butter in it, but it's you can have a little cake or whatever it is, and so you give them a little birthday cake kind of stuff. What do you give Bevo? What is today's menu of things? I've just got to give it. Oh no, you don't give Bevo some steak. Come on, Jackie. That's horrible. What? Hey, listen, by the way, hey, they say that Bevo is not sedated, so I'm not going there. They get the handlers get very, very offended if you suggest that Bevo has been sedated in any kind of way. So I'm not touching that whole conversation. And those handlers know who I am. They always say hello to me, so I don't want to offend them. They listen to the show, but I do kind of wonder how that thing don't move, though. I'm not gonna lie. Bevo got those road products in him, don't he? Bevo had the birthday cake that catch stuff, Bevo gotta be on one. This is sit there chilling. People just coming up, he just chilling. He's yeah, you can take a picture. It's all good. We want to see Bevo overreact one time. We want to see Bevo kind of come out and who bringing this dog next to me? Outside of that, Bevo kind of chilling. So I don't know. I'm not suggesting. I don't want those guys to get mad at me, though. So I'm just gonna leave that I'm gonna leave it where it is. And I'm sure I'll see them in the future, and they will correct me and let me know. So yes, we also talked about Rod Wright being out of the contention for the defensive line coach at Texas, and I'm just going to tell you what my gut says at this moment. This is a person who's been in this industry for a long time, and I just kind of know how these things usually kind of flow. My gut usually what happens when a coach has a a coaching search that's out there. And by the way, I'll get you. Let's just jump into super chat. I can hold that thought before I get into it. Mark Anthony. Oh, Mark. Hey, Mark, you're coming in concert in San Antonio in March, if I'm correct, right? Mark, I believe you're going to be in concert in San Antonio. But nonetheless, hey, good morning to you, Mark. It's good to see you. Not to be confused with that fake Mark Anthony. But keep up the goodest workers, Slim. Where's my hat? Nah, no hat on today. I've got no hat. I've let the cowboy hat comes out every once in a while, and so does the fedoras and stuff. So no hat today. Just that bald headed brother look. That's all I got for you today, Mark. Nothing else other than that. But I appreciate you. By the way, yes. You must know me because that's what all my friends, close friends, they call me Slim, so that's kind of cool. My Spanish people, my Latinos, they call me Flaco. So and I'm not anymore, but it's because I used to be. But you know how that thing goes. I think we talked about it before. When you get nicknames when you're younger, they're usually because they're usually cruel. You know, it's usually something that people shouldn't make fun of, like Left Eye, right? Left Eye Lopez, right? It was because she was got like cross-eyed. That's why she wore the sunglasses, and they called her Left Eye. But that's how she got her name, Left Eye, right? And so mine was because I was slim. Sometimes they call big people, sometimes slim as well. Sometimes people get called boogers, like all kinds of stuff. Just cool nicknames that you just kind of attach to yourself and then carry on for the rest of your life. So good morning to you as well. So my thing as far as Rod Wright is concerned is history usually tells me that when a coach has a kind of a plan A and that thing doesn't work out for whatever reasons, that usually plan B, typically that thing happens pretty fast. Like usually that happens pretty fast. And so they're always, so what these coaches do is that they have a bunch of interviews, just so we're clear. So they have so you guys know behind the scenes, they have a bunch of interviews. It's no different than what you do in your job, right? And they kind of determine who the top candidate is. Then they've got some other people who are there who they can pull the trigger on at any moment, right? It's kind of like dating in that regard, right? Like you ever for those who are single or those who used to be single, right? At some point. So it should apply to everybody. You ever like started talking to somebody and you had like a good vibe with them, you really started liking them, and you wanted to hang out with them the following weekend or that upcoming weekend, and they told you like, hey, I'm really not going to know what I'm doing probably till like Wednesday or Thursday, and then I'll let you know, we can hang out. And so you pretty much are like, okay, that's the date I want to go on. Like, I really want to kick it with her this weekend, right? Or ladies, you want to kick it with him, right? And so you're waiting to see what happens. Now, you got some other people that you could go out with if it doesn't work out, right? You can call up somebody and make it work. But you really got your eyes set on this one person that you really got this, you feel like you might have a good connection with, attraction to, whatever the case may be, right? That's kind of what this thing is in the coaching world. You've got your plan A, and that's the person that you're waiting on. And you're saying to yourself, man, this thing comes through. I'm going to be really excited about that. That's the person I really want to hang with. But if not, I got some other options. And that's where you usually can pull the trigger pretty soon. So my gut tells me that my gut tells me usually when these things happen and someone doesn't take the job for whatever the reasons are, usually a few days later is when you hear about that person the job gets filled. So my bet would be on just if I just bet, right? Thanks, Jackie. I think it's left eye. Something's wrong with her eye. It may have been lazy eye, cross-eyed. I think the cross-eyed is kind of the same thing. But nonetheless, it was about her eye, and that's how she got the name, right? My bet is, if I had to put money down, and today's Wednesday, I would think my bet would be like this is me betting, okay? And just going off of what typically happens, I would think sometimes by later this week we probably would have an idea as to what that thing looks like. That's just what history usually tells us. That's just usually how these things go. So I would just keep an eye out. Make sure you subscribe to Orange Bloods for all the all updated news and information and all that other kind of stuff. But yes, so just keep an eye on that thing. Okay, I did not get a chance to get heavy into this yesterday, but give me a second on this one. I think that there's a couple of things as I think about it. One, you guys know from a consistency standpoint, if you listen to me long enough, and if you haven't listened to me long enough and you just now started to listening to me, the one thing I'm really high on, and one thing you'll always hear me talk about is kind of like keeping that same energy. You'll always hear me talk about that. And I'm always a big believer that if you criticize somebody, that you owe it to them to give them the same amount of praise. And really, honestly, there's studies that show, I think it's for every, I've had it before, I've talked about this before. I think for every one negative thing you say about somebody, that you're technically supposed to say 4 positive things about them. So if you say 2 negative things, you need to be saying 8 positive things. I think it's a 4-to-1 ratio. I may be wrong. It may be higher than that, maybe 5-to-1. I don't have that in front of me. It's going off my memory. So I'm a real big believer that if you say things about someone when they're not doing good, you really need and owe it to yourself to come back and keep that same energy when things are going well. And sometimes, like as relates to the conversation of Quintavious. Can I call Quintavious? Quintavious Ewers. And so with the conversation of Quintavious Ewers, my thing is, for all that I had to hear about Quinn in 2022, okay, I was really adamant that I needed to hear just about the opposite in 2023. Okay. And so I totally just gave Quinn a black name. But nonetheless, I like it. I'm gonna stick with it. It's Quintavious from here on out. And so I was really been adamant about that. I've really been adamant about that. And I was adamant because, he was a guy that going into like last year, when I heard there was a lot of like, maybe Malik should be a guy that plays, and maybe Malik would be a guy that can push him, right? And so I had to deal with those kind of things, and I always I've been standing on a Quinn Ewers hill. Even when it wasn't popular, even when people were like, man, why are you standing on this hill? Even when the bros were coming at me, right? The bros were coming at me strong too. They're like, man, why are you not riding with Malik? Like they was threatening. Man, I hate to tell you, but they was threatening to take away my black card. They were gonna take it away. They was trying to revoke it from me. They were just, I felt threatened. People were showing up. I didn't want to open up my Amazon packages. It was crazy, right? But nonetheless, I just stood on it because I just felt like he was a better quarterback, right? And so Quinn had a really good season last year. I think a really good season is fair to say. And we saw what that thing looked like when he wasn't there, and it was a struggle bus without him. And we know that Quinn was able to get Texas where they needed to be, winning, obviously having a great performance in the Big 12 championship game. And, getting Texas to a point where, look, to me, I always said, when you get to the semifinals, man, you're playing with house money. You're just playing with house money at that point. So anything that happens from that point on is good. And so there was that conversation that had to happen, that happened with Quinn and his people, his agent, everybody else, as it relates to what do you do with going forward? Do you decide to go pro, or do you decide that, I'm going to return? And long conversations were had. Not the easiest decision, because hey, if you're late first round, that's actually not a bad spot. If you're second round, that's not a bad spot either. Why? Because you get to sit and learn, no pressure, no expectations. You get to be in the NFL, right? And so, the thought process was, you know what? He's been being rushed and pushed so far, so much throughout his career that maybe it would be good for him just to kind of sit and learn. Not learn, take it back. Just sit and develop, not learn. Learn's a bad word. Develop for another year in Sark's system. And then he comes out and maybe he's the number 1 overall pick, top 10 pick, top 5 pick, whatever it is in the 2025 draft, right? And then and all the benefits that go along with that. And some people are like, well, what does that mean for Arch or whatever? And it's like, no, it ends up being a smart decision, ends up being a good decision, it ends up being an educated decision. And as relates to that, what gets lost in the conversation about all these transfer portal guys that are coming in, especially from an offensive standpoint, what's getting lost in the conversation that we don't talk about enough, but I will talk about it because if I've been in the Quinn Ewers fan club president, for the past couple of years, and I had to stand on that porch by myself, I always say, you got to stay on your porch, right? No matter where it is, you got to stay on that porch. And if I had to stay on that porch by myself when things weren't going good and I had to hear about QBRs and things that weren't going well and TCU games, all this other kind of stuff, I got to stay on my porch when things are going well. And so one of the things that get lost in the conversation with all these guys, all the 3 receivers and the tight end that decided to come to Texas, is that they're coming because they want a chance to play with Quinn. Isaiah Bond said that. He said, like, hey, he's a pocket passer, future first rounder. Of course I want to play with that guy. And so that decision to come back, I think has yielded instant results for the University of Texas and this program. Obviously, it's helped Sarkisian from a recruiting standpoint. Absolutely. And I think it will help Quinn going into the SEC, being able to play their ball out. And the question that I think we were entering into this season was like, okay, well, where is he going to rank amongst the quarterbacks? Like, where is Quinn going to be amongst the quarterbacks? And here's why this ends up being a really, really good decision for everybody involved, including you as a fan, as you get ready to enter the SEC. And Blake has it, okay? So Blake has the stat where we start talking about Heisman odds. And look, Heisman, of course, is an individual award, right? But clearly, it's usually the best quarterback on the best team. Like that's usually how that goes. I mean, right? Can we just be honest about it? Like, that's usually how that thing plays out. Usually best quarterback on the best team. And so this came out via FanDuel pretty recently. And the fact is that Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck are basically neck and neck as far as who would win the Heisman, odds of winning the Heisman for the 2024 season, followed by Dylan Gabriel, who I said who's going to be playing forever. He's going to be playing forever. I think him and Casey Thompson are going to exhaust as much of their eligibility as possible. They're going to be playing when y'all have grandkids. Then there's Jalen Milroe at a plus 1,200. I don't see Alabama having that same success as they've had before, so I don't feel like that's going to be necessarily the best investment. Jackson Arnold at that plus 1,800, that's there. And, of course, Jackson Dart is in there as well. Connor Weigman, by the way, if you're curious, at that plus 2,000. I'm just going to give you some more notable names. Cade Klubnik. This is a guy I loved coming out of high school, by the way. That was a dude. And there was some debate as to whether Cade was better or if Quinn was better in high school. It's kind of a big debate here. And we're looking at Cade Klubnik at a plus 3,000. The only other one that's of note of there, again, Quinn at a plus 750. How about Shedeur Sanders at plus 4,000? I mean, Heck, if you just want to see if you can make some money, yeah, I guess you could drop 100 to see if you can get that. But man, plus 4,000, that's it's not giving that man much of a chance. Of course, it's kind of hard. It's gonna be hard to win if you got an offensive line. And I'm sure they try to get that thing in the transfer portal. That's right. I gotta check with Sapp. I think he started already. I just remembered about that. I gotta check in on him. But nonetheless, you have that. So, by the way, Michael asked me, so are you comparing him to Vince Young qualities? I hope he's not asking me that. Maybe he's asking something out in the chat, because I mean, I think it's always dangerous to compare anybody to one of the greatest college football players ever, right? That's like comparing every 6th round quarterback who's taken to like Tom Brady, right? Who does that? You don't want to do that, right? So I want to go that far. But for Quinn, with an opportunity and a chance to be remembered as one of the best quarterbacks in school history, where you start looking at what that Mount Rushmore looks like, for him to have a chance to solidify himself as that number 2 guy on Mount Rushmore, potentially, if he goes and gets Texas and wins a natty. I mean, you'll be definitely saying a lot at that point. So anyway, I just always think it's a really good thing to point out what Quinn has been able to do. And I just don't like for it to get overlooked in the conversation, because, I can guarantee you this, and you guys know this. If Quinn had a crappy season and he had to come back because he had a crappy season, I can say this: every show, not only on this channel, but just about all of them, would be, man, what does Quinn Ewers need to do to get better? Man, what does Quinn Ewers need to do to take the next level? Man, is it time to play Arch, right? All those things. We know what those conversations will look like. My OCD is kicking in, y'all. I'm sorry. My OCD is kicking in. All right. Those conversations would happen. Because it's not happening. I also think it's also fair to point out that it's not happening for a reason, and it's because of everything that he's been able to do prior to that. I just again, just like to keep that same energy. Just want to keep that same energy. One more thing before we get out of here. ESPN started listing their most important games. That did not help. That really made it worse, Anwar. I need to do this beforehand. Hold on, let me just do this. It's gonna mess with me. All right, let me do that. All right, better. That OCD part of me is killing me at this point. So let me just go ahead and do this. All right, now I'm good. All right, ESPN went ahead and listed some of the most important games of the 2024 season. Did you guys know, just because of what they've listed on their list, the number 1 game that they feel like is the most important game of the upcoming season? Georgia at Texas on October the 19th. Let's go through it. Let's see what ESPN had to say. By the way, last meeting, Texas beat Georgia in 2019. This is why I don't get into that whole how's Texas going to do in the SEC conversation. I'm like, well, I don't know. They beat Georgia. They beat Alabama. They were toe-to-toe with LSU, one of the greatest teams in college football history. They've defeated Missouri in a bowl game. I don't know how much more that you want from them. I mean, outside of an Arkansas loss that occurred, and that was probably the only quote-unquote lopsided loss in Steve Sarkisian's transition season. Outside of that, I think Texas has held its own against SEC opponents. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about it. I think they'll be quite all right. It's my opinion. And, of course, the opinions that are backed up with facts. But, yes, Georgia at Texas. It says the committee reinforced its belief that past accomplishments don't affect current rankings when it excluded back-to-back national champion Georgia from the final top 4 in 2023. So the Bulldogs had one loss in 28 games, by 3 points to Alabama in that SEC title game, but dropped from number 1 to number 6 on selection day because they didn't win their conference title in the season packed with contenders who did. Well, I mean, yay and nay. I mean, part of that is true. There's also another part that's missing, which is Alabama had a tougher schedule, and the committee did not blame or fault Alabama for that loss that it had against Texas. So there is something to be said for that, but maybe there's just wasn't enough space to fit all that stuff in. That's okay. That's why this trip to Texas will resonate through Selection Day. It will be viewed as a quality road win in the eyes of the committee and will influence who might play in the SEC title game. Oh, slow down. Hey, quality road win? Who said they was going to win? Who wrote this? I need to find the author of this one. Why are you just assuming that Georgia's going to win this thing? You just going to assume that it'd be a quality road win, or it could be a quality home win for Texas and influence who might play in the SEC title game. How about that? I just rewrote it for you. I was your editor on the spot. How about that? There you go. You can thank me and send me a check later. I'll give you my Venmo. Yeah, Venmo, but I don't want to pay no $10.99. Georgia has advanced to the SEC title game in the recent years, in part because the SEC East hasn't been the most challenging side of the league. With division scrapped, the game against Texas is the start of the evidence showing how much more difficult Georgia's climb will be in the new SEC. All right, well, at least they closed out better. They closed out better. Slow down on where you was at. You're moving too fast. You're doing too much. It's just projecting certain things. Certain things can happen, but also I think Texas has shown that, hey, this could be another quality win for Texas against an SEC opponent that will catapult them into the playoffs. There is that. All right, I just want to throw that out there. There's one more game that ESPN believed was going to be one to watch and one of the most important games for the upcoming season. I guess you guys could probably guess this one. Texas at Michigan early on. Oh, boy. If Jim Harbaugh leaves, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. And I'm getting the feeling that the way he's flirting with the NFL, I'm thinking this man is out. I think Jim Harbaugh, this is my thought process. I think Jim Harbaugh is a little worried about what the NCAA might say at some point down the line. And I think he's just going to make sure he bounces so that he doesn't have to deal with any potential repercussions of things that may or may not have happened. But, when you do something, it's a couple of things. It's never usually the first time they do it. It's usually the first time they got caught. And usually that means there's some other things involved. It's just how life goes. But Texas at Michigan, September the 7th. All of us will be in Ann Arbor, staying in Detroit. This is kind of a help you out kind of situation. It's hard to get places in Ann Arbor, but you can stay in Detroit and drive about an hour out and be just as fine. Why will matter to the committee? Remember number 1 on this list. If Texas loses at home to Georgia, beating the defending national champs on the road will take on an even more importance for the Longhorns' playoff hopes. Boy, I think just so negative. What if Texas wins? And then when they beat Michigan? You see how people write? It's so fascinating. When they say you can make something say whatever you want, it's so true. You can expect to see a 2-loss team in a 12-team field. If not this year, then eventually. Because there's more margin for error. It becomes risky, though, and the committee will continue to scrutinize non-conference wins to separate teams competing for those at-large spots. If Texas doesn't win the SEC in its first season in the league, it's going to have a lot of competition still from the rest of the conference: Ole Miss, Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma, for the other spots. A win against Michigan could go a long way in helping separate Texas from the other contenders with weaker non-conference resumes. Texas and Michigan could win their respective conferences, which means the winner of this game might ultimately boast to the committee that a non-conference win against a Power 5 champion, much like Texas was able to do in the 2023 season after beating SEC champion Alabama. Ha. Or Texas beats Michigan, Texas beats Georgia. And these conversations are non-starters or nothing that has to be worried about. But nonetheless, for their bigger picture, for things that they have to do, and listen, I understand. I do this job the same way that they do this job as well. It's not easy to come up with content in January. So I'm not going to knock the content. I can pick and mess with some of the things that was said, but nonetheless, the points that are being made as far as what the upcoming season looks like, what the important games will look like, but the way that Steve Sarkisian is constructing this roster and putting things together, especially if Harbaugh leaves, is going to be a tough sledding for a lot of teams that are going to be on Texas's schedule, because Texas ultimately is built for the long term. Not quite sure about some of these other programs. Georgia for sure. Ole Miss for sure. Everybody else, it's going to be tough on them. That's all I have to say. And on that note, that happened that quickly. So sorry. But our hour is done. Our hour is done. Blake, what's the schedule for the rest of today? Can you put that up for the good people at home who are like, man, this is some BS. This show went too fast. I can't believe you guys are doing this. And I needed a couple more hours. I'm so sorry. But you will have House Divided today at 12, followed by Football with Friends. Alex Dunlap will be back. The Recruiting Hour at 4 o'clock. And the Outsiders this evening. Don't go anywhere. Be prepared for more shows that will be here. You guys wanted them more condensed, so we've given you exactly what you want. So hopefully you guys were able to enjoy that. If you joined me late, let's go back and re-listen to it. Listening to it on 1.5/2 speed, you can get through it even a lot faster as far as that's concerned. So listen, go out there, enjoy the day. I know it's kind of rainy, it's kind of gloomy, but be safe on those roads. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember what I always say, live your day like it was your last, because one day it will be. See you guys soon. Peace out.